Former NFL QB rips Cowboys for handling of Dak Prescott. Former NFL quarterback and current ESPN football analyst Dan Orlovsky says Cowboys franchise quarterback Dak Prescott isn't to blame for the team's rough start to the season. The Dallas Cowboys are 1-2 after a Week 3 loss to the Baltimore Ravens, and next up, they're taking on the New York Giants in a high-profile Thursday evening matchup at MetLife Stadium on September 26. Following the Ravens' loss, the Cowboys are 29th in rush success rate, which is not a good look. But, former NFL quarterback and current ESPN football expert Dan Orlovsky says Cowboys franchise quarterback Dak Prescott isn't to blame. "I don't think there is an offense in football that sets their quarterback up to fail more than the Cowboys do with Dak Prescott," Orlovsky said while appearing on the Thursday, September 26, edition of ESPN's Get Up. During Dallas' game against Baltimore, Prescott threw for 379 yards and accounted for 3 touchdowns, but the Cowboys only clocked 51 rushing yards for the entire game, and the defense got pummeled for 456 total yards. The game brought out some frustration in Prescott, but Orlovsky says the Cowboys are making it as hard as possible on Prescott. "The fundamental ways to get your quarterback to play better, or make it easier to play better, you run the football," Orlovsky said. "The Cowboys can't. You use play action. The Cowboys don't. You use motion. The Cowboys don't. You throw screens. The Cowboys don't. They are bottom 3 or 4 in a couple of the categories, bottom 10 in essentially all of them. In many ways they are saying, Dak Prescott, we want this to be as hard as possible on you. Dak Prescott, we've got to be cleaner." Speaking after the Cowboys' loss to the Ravens in a post-game press conference, Prescott expressed his frustration with the game. When asked about the team's slow start, he said it was very frustrating, especially when you're playing a quarterback that like on that side, referring to Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. "An offense that powerful, you just can't do it, honestly," he added. "Just holding some of the defensive guys, we have to look in the mirror. Us offense first, and we have to help them. I know they're standing. They don't allow 28 points against an MVP player, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, and an offense like that. It's a game that we have to score 30, and we know it. We didn't, so it started late." He added, "That's the biggest part of it. The penalties and some errors. I guess you can say whether it be alignment, whether it be assignment, we've got to be cleaner. We've got to lock in and be more focused on our job, take accountability in every position and grow." When asked if he feels he needs to do more as a leader, Prescott said, "Yeah. If guys are dwelling and guys are sitting on a loss or back-to-back losses, I've got to obviously speak up and let them know that it's over with," he said. Later, he added, "We just have to understand the process, trust the process, and be accountable. Every single one of us, including myself, and move on." The Dallas Cowboys need to get back on track. After 2 brutal home losses to the New Orleans Saints and Baltimore Ravens, the Cowboys have a short week as they prepare for a must-win game against the New York Giants. Before the two teams square off in what will be a pivotal matchup, here are 3 bold predictions for Thursday's contest. The 2024 season has not gotten off to a great start for CeeDee Lamb. The 25-year-old All-Pro, who signed a 4-year contract extension right before the start of the regular season, has been a bit underwhelming in Dallas' 3 games so far. The former first-round pick has recorded 13 catches for 218 yards and a touchdown, which aren't horrible numbers, but they are a bit underwhelming for how good of a player Lamb is. Things haven't just been a bit shaky on the field. Lamb has had some sideline incidents in back-to-back weeks and even acknowledged that letting his emotions get the best of him last week against Baltimore might have hurt the team. Cowboys CeeDee Lamb was accountable today in owning that his emotions got the best of him during Sunday's loss to the Ravens. "Can't blame nobody. Got to start with the man in the mirror, and I'm a huge believer in that. I can't get mad at nobody else. I've learned. That being said, Lamb is just too good of a player for this to continue. Dallas needs their top offensive weapon to get back on track, and there's no better time for him to do so than this week against the Giants. New York will be without two of their top cornerbacks, Drew Phillips and Adoree Jackson, this Thursday, giving Lamb the perfect opportunity to have a big bounce-back game. The Giants never seem to contain CeeDee Lamb, which will continue this week. Lamb catches 10 passes and scores 2 touchdowns, putting the past 2 weeks in the rearview mirror. In recent history, every time the Cowboys play the Giants, their pass rush seems to dominate. For a good portion of those games, the victim of the ferocious Dallas pass rush has been Giants signal caller Daniel Jones. Jones, who is just 1-7 in his career against the Cowboys, has been sacked by Dallas 24 times in those 8 games. 2 times, Jones was sacked 5 or more times in a single game, including Dallas' 7-sack performance in last year's season opener. The Giants' offensive line has been a bit better this season, but they still have some holes. Pro Football Focus ranks them as the 21st pass-blocking line in football, and in last week's contest against the Browns 3 of their starters had a PFF pass block grade below 52. This bodes well for a Cowboys defense that desperately needs their pass rush to get back on track. On Thursday night, Dallas will do just that, as Micah Parsons and company get after Daniel Jones all night long, tying a season high with 6 sacks. One positive that came out of last week's game was the production of Cowboys fullback Hunter Luepke. The 24-year-old had the most productive game of his Cowboys career, catching 2 passes for 41 yards. Luepke ended up playing 30 offensive snaps in the game, by far the highest snap count of his NFL career. It's clear Mike McCarthy has a plan to use Luepke in the offense, and we're going to see more of that on Thursday night. The fullback is once again featured in the passing game, but this time he'll find the end zone. Luepke scores the 2nd touchdown of his NFL career on a 7-yard pass from Dak Prescott. Daron Bland injury update from Mike McCarthy hints at good news. Dallas Cowboys All-Pro cornerback Daron Bland could be returning sooner rather than later, according to head coach Mike McCarthy's latest injury update. The Dallas Cowboys defense has been in shambles for the past 2 weeks. It's something that no one can hide from after back-to-back embarrassing losses at home. While the Cowboys' run defense has been a big talking point after getting ran all over by Derrick Henry in Week 3, the secondary was exposed by the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr in Week 2. Dallas has been forced to start rookie Kalen Carson following an injury to All-Pro cornerback Daron Bland, which forced him to undergo surgery at the end of the preseason. Micah Parsons has simple solution to fix Cowboys' defensive woes. Bland was placed on IR, but is eligible to return after 4 to 6 weeks. While Carson has been solid during his time as a starter, fans are eager to see Bland suit up across the field from fellow All-Pro Trayvon Diggs. Daron Bland, Dallas Cowboy. Daron Bland, Dallas Cowboy. Luckily for the Cowboys and Cowboys Nation, Bland could be closer to his return than many would have imagined. Bland returned to the sideline for practice this week and went through his rehab work on the sideline. Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy then revealed a further update following practice. "We always felt like the Pittsburgh game is the point where we'd have more information," said McCarthy, per DallasCowboys.com. "With this mini-bye week, we're hoping things will rev up there." Daron Bland, Dallas Cowboy. Daron Bland, Dallas Cowboy. Having an all-pro defense would be welcomed for a defensive unit that has struggled, and the minute the Cowboys open his 21-day practice window there will be a spark for the team. The 4th game Bland is required to miss on IR is just over 24 hours away, so by the end of the week, Cowboys Nation could get the positive news they have been waiting for.